Howdy all, my name is ChucklesTC and welcome back to my Monoposto IndyCar career mode. We'll call it career mode, whatever. Today we are going to be doing qualifying in the race in Qatar, but first, let's do a spotter's guide for the race. So first still have Scott Dixon in the Juan Pablo Montoya throwback. Not the button I wanted to hit. And then Alex Blow in the red Solo Cup car. Then we move over to Andretti Global's Kyle Kirkwood in the Pepsi, and Will Power in this other Busch Light Apple car. Then we have Dale Coyne still rocking the Rockstar and the non-sponsored Rockstar. New schemes coming for them and Ganassi soon. Meyershank still rocking the double Liquid Death. They will also be receiving a new scheme soon. Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing with the Meyer car and Schumacher still with the Fetch Rewards car. AJ Foyt Racing still with the Homes for Our Troops Bass Pro Shop car and Kyle Collette's Combatrons. ECR still with the Dollar General and Direct Supply. Hunkos Hollinger with the Oscar Mayer and with the Agape Energy, Aaron McLaren with the Home Depot and new scheme, the Aero Electronics car. There you see Gatorade has been subbed out as a sponsor for Electrolyte. Oh man, I forgot to switch his Xiaomi to black, but honestly it kind of looks cool. Yeah, pretty sweet. For Team Penske, you have the Folgers, and then you have this alternate Menards with the blue. Sort of a more retro vibe. For Giant Ramble, Chuckles Clown Racing. For Chuckles Clown Racing, we're in the Lean Cuisine tie-dye car still. Oops. And Jack Harvey is in, well, what's going to be a school bus car. You'll have to wait until next weekend for the Indy Grand Prix to see what this truly is. But that's a hint for you. It's a school bus of some sort. Over at Prema, you have the Krispy Kreme and the Hot Wheels car. Championship standings. Scott McLaughlin still leads, but he leads 21 points over three-time race winner this season, Will Power, winning race 4, 7, and now 9. So we head to race 10. Scott McLaughlin DNF'd last time out. And Potter Ward, who was his closest championship competitor heading into the race, did not get points. In a podium from VK, and who got second last time out? Kyle Kirkwood. It was a double podium for Andretti. But let's get into it here for qualifying in Qatar. And I cannot remember if I mentioned it last time out, but we have some teams who will be making announcements before the end of June, sort of kicking off silly season. The big name I hear continue to be passed around is Prema Racing. So what that announcement could it be a new driver? What could it be? We know that they actually do struggle with sponsors, even though their car is pretty filled. Could we be seeing them narrow down to one car? But who would take that second car slot? Very interesting here. In a very exciting circuit that we have today. First night race of the year. Kicking off the month of May properly with a real cinematic track. And a very high-speed track at that. So Rosenquist is the first car on track, so he'll be the first to take the flag. And then Stingray Rob is next behind him on track. But both of those drivers are going to be dealing with traffic here as pit lane is not cleared. So Rosenquist now on a hot lap. We're going to be watching right here. Who is the McLaren right in front of him? Can't figure it out. I guess it's probably Lundgaard, right? Yeah, Lundgaard. Already mixed in with traffic. So we're going to be watching to make sure no lap traffic causes any incidents. But I mean, you see cars having to make room. Who's the white car? Oh, no. Okay, I accidentally adjusted this team's color. They'll be going back to black. Because Penske's the other whites. Got it. Alright, that was the only confusing part. Okay, as time start to go in, Schwartzman, Eilot, Stingray, Colette, all slower right now than Rosenquist. VK qualifies 5th. Very interesting. Rosenquist and Ferrucci seem very stable up there at the front. McLaughlin has now bumped them down. Rahals, that's the fastest sector too. We will be waiting to see what happens here. Malukas goes 3rd. Dixon now to 4th. Will Power now sets the fastest sector 2. Spray Hall crosses the line. Where did he go? He went P16 with the fastest sector 2. That is rough. This car's now starting to hit the pit lanes. And Pelot now will set a lap. Looking to go up front. He goes P20. What? That is something you rarely see out of the Ganassi driver. And Armstrong qualifies 20th. Your top 10 after the first set of laps: McLaughlin, Rosenquist, Malukas, Dixon, Ferrucci, Kirkwood, Rob, Power, Schumacher, Harvey, and then Johnson's in P11. Very interesting first round of qualifying with big names. I mean, both Penske's are up front, and Dixon's in 4th. But you have names like Pelot out back, Pato, Lundgaard outside the top 10. Power qualified 8th. VK, podium sitter last time out, 15th. The farthest up qualifying driver, who's on the podium last week, is Kyle Kirkwood, who's in 6th. Very, very strange. And Lundgaard, driving for Aaron McLaren, huge expectations for that team, is down in last. And I have no idea how. I do need to go in and make these cars drive faster, I've realized. because their times are way slower than the Indy Next cars, but I know that this era of car is just genuinely worse. Uh, so yes, very strange. We have some cars now on outlaps. I wish we wouldn't stick with Scott Dixon the whole time. I love Scott Dixon, but it's hard to get a read of qualifying. But now this time by, it appears that they will be trying to spread out a bit more. As Rosenquist looks to have some more clean track ahead of him as he's going for a pole. He's going to have to get past Scott McLaughlin, though. As it's going to be close for some of these drivers to pit. Or to get done with their pits and make a lap. Everyone may not be able to get a second lap in. And that's just the breaks of the game. Really, I think if you're not in the second sector right now, you're sort of screwed. Scott McLaughlin sits the fastest sector one. Now, if you're Rosenquist, not what you want to see. VK, who's down in 15th, looks like you're going to stay there, pal. So if you are not on a hot lap right now, it is day. Rosenquist will not improve. Malukas, McLaughlin, Dixon, Kirkwood, Robb. Ooh, someone moved up. Rasmussen moves up. Lingard will not move up. Ilott, Grosjean, Collette, Jimmy Johnson, Schumacher, Robb, Kirkwood, Dixon, Malukas, all on hot laps. Can anyone move up to the front row? Can anyone bump off the pole sitter? Jimmy Johnson up into P9. Malukas will not improve. Grosjean and Schumacher, the last ones out on track. And Grosjean will move up to P14. So your pole winner is the championship leader, Scott McLaughlin, followed by Felix Rosenquist, David Malukas, Kyle Kirkwood, Scott Dixon, Santino Ferrucci, Christian Rasmussen, Stinger Robb, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Collette. That is your top 10. Then we have Will Power, Mick Schumacher, Jack Harvey, Romain Grosjean, Callum Ilott, Alexander Rossi, Dennis Hauger, Robert Schwartzman, Reese Vacay, and Pato Award. That is your top 20. 21st, Graham Rahal, Marcus Armstrong, Alex Palou, and Christian Lingard. That will set the grid as we move on to the race. All right, now loaded in here for the Qatar Grand Prix. We'll do the grid walk once again, really get a feel for these cars. Is now, this is the official start to the month of May, so you're going to see paint schemes galore being pushed out all month long. So be on the lookout. I can confirm Meyershank Racing, Dale Coyne Racing, and Chip Ganassi Racing will all at least have one new scheme by next week by the IndyGP. And then I'm going to start doing all the beer and nicotine sponsor schemes for a while after that because of the Indy 500 coming up, because that is a big moment for it. But I'm not fully convinced if I am going to commit to that yet. But I do think it'd be fun, and that way I get all those brands done and out of the way. I mean, we're off the bat here. Scott McLaughlin battling with Felix Rosenquist into turn one. Appears that the Kiwi will hold his ground. VK finished third last week, down in P20. It's going to be a hard fight for him back up there, but his teammate Stinger Robb up into P7th. battling with the Foyt driver, the Foyt rookie of Kyle Collette. We see Hauger, Armstrong, and Graham Rahal all chose the hard tires. Pillow down in last with Lundgaard just in front of him. If we look up into P17, we see that new aero scheme for Pano Award. Similar but different, and I think it looks very sweet. I was a bit nervous with the Lundgaard scheme when I made it, because you see the orange and the papaya, they clash. You know, once I switched what I was using, it looks fantastic. Here we see Power making a move, getting up just behind Harvey. Oh, and Felix Rosenquist leads the race now over Scott McLaughlin by over half a second. The one-time race winner at Road America is in the lead of the race. We're going to keep covering this every race. In the top 10 right now, David Malukas, Santino Ferrucci, Stingray Robb, Kyle Collette, and Mick Schumacher have all not won a race. That is 4 of 10 drivers inside the top 10 that has never won an IndyCar Series race, in an 11th, 12th, and 13th. All those would also be first-time winners. So half of the front half of the field would be first-time winners. And then, you know, we'd have a couple others sprinkled down throughout the field. But it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, obviously you have drivers like Jimmy Johnson, who's won 7 NASCAR championships. At this point, you're waiting to see if he'll retire or wait until he at least wins 1 or 2. And their speed has been improving. They've been consistently top 10. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, considering they're on a partnership with Dry and Reinbold Racing. My team, Chuckles Clown Racing, is to see them have a stronger push in the month of May. Same thing with, Foyt has been ultra competitive, just not been able to scrape together a win. But super nice finishes for them. In Penske, too, compared to their rivals at Ganassi and Meyer Shank Racing, who've only been able to put together like 2 consistent cars for all the races. You have Palou or Dixon always racing down at the rear. But it seems like McLaughlin and Malukas, while they'll have their issues, they'll DNF. They're consistently getting front finishes, one or the other. But I do like this update. I do like how you will have these drivers with maxed out stats that will just have poor weekends. Scott McLaughlin will pit. You'll see him fall down the order. How far will he go? Jimmy Johnson will follow him in, along with Grosjean, Ilott. And it will only be those 4. The final 4, McLaughlin, Ilott, Johnson, and Grosjean, all pitting this time by. 3 of them going on reds, or going on softs, 1 of them going on hards. Felix Rosenquist now has over a 2.5-second lead over Kyle Kirkwood, the runner-up last week. But there you see Scott McLaughlin running right along with the back of the pack. Compared to Ilott, who's still another 10 seconds behind him. McLaughlin was actually able to pass Palou on 4-lap newer tires. Getting around Armstrong, though, I feel like will be a bit more of a struggle. as I believe that him and Armstrong are now on more similar strategies. Maybe not. Maybe he will just be able to blow by him. But Rahal blocking there for Armstrong. They're going to make it hard for him to get around. As Armstrong stays in front for now. As Rosenquist pits from the lead, along with Malukas, Kirkwood, Dixon, Schumacher, Harvey. And Rosenquist will hold a lead over McLaughlin. Rosenquist went on hards, McLaughlin on softs. Will he be able to hold him off? This is for the potential race lead once everyone else cycles through the pits. Everyone except Marcus Armstrong and Graham Rahal outside the 10th and down have pitted. Felix Rosenquist passed VK. Kyle Collette caused a collision with Stingray Robb, Kyle Collette, Santino Ferrucci. Rossi now causes a collision. Big traffic jam there as Christian Rasmussen is able to gain a huge lead. Penalty for Mick Schumacher. So there's another traffic jam near the rear. Ooh, big penalty there for Schwartzman as Stingray Robb has retired from the race. Rasmussen, one-time race winner in Milwaukee, will have a huge lead with the virtual safety car. You got to come in here. Yes, and he does. Will this pan out for him? We watch the pit stop. You want an early pit here, I think? It appears that the cars behind him will follow him in. This could be a huge break for the ECR camp. As now cars on track will have a green. Sir Scott Dixon has now caused a collision on track. And Rasmussen will cycle out in the lead. With cars on 6-lap old tires behind him, this may have just been the break that Rasmussen needs to return to victory lane. Heading into the most important part of May, Christian Rasmussen holds the lead on lap 6. Kyle Collette in second with a 5-second penalty. Sir Scott Dixon now causes a second collision. Mick Schumacher now with a second penalty for causing a collision. And Rosenquist advances up into P2. He is on hard tires. You have to think that Rasmussen should have gone on hards there. He does have the fastest sector 2. And it is a 5-second gap up. Rosenquist may be able to stretch those hard tires to the end of the race. I mean, that is less than 10 laps. Stretching 10 laps on softs, it's not going to happen. Yellow flag in Sector 3 in another virtual safety car. So we have a retirement from Callum Ilott. And Collette, Hauger, Ferrucci stays out. Kirkwood stays out. Rossi will come in along with Scott McLaughlin. Sir Scott Dixon will stay out. But very interesting strategy calls here as we have now 2 cars out. Christian Rasmussen with a 6-second lead over Felix Rosenquist in another virtual safety car. Dennis Hauger out. Schwartzman spinning around. Something is happening here. If the cautions stay out, this could be exactly what Rasmussen needs. top 5, 2 drivers are winless, being Ferrucci and Malukas. Rasmussen and Rosenquist have each won 1. Rosenquist on a long winless drought, though. There you see power getting around Sir Scott Dixon, who has a 10-second penalty and is essentially just another chicane inside the top 10. As Rasmussen will lead another lap. You have to be careful with this huge pack of cars up here. In the rear, that something likely will happen. I mean, it's a 30-second gap or something. 23. Still, that's a lot. Second gap from first to fifth. But it's still less than a 6-second gap from first to second. Rasmussen has to hope that in like 2-3 laps, whenever he starts to lose time to Rosenquist, there is a virtual safety car perfectly timed for him to peel into the pits. Because he will not be able to drive 8 laps on these red sidewall, green sidewall tires. I apologize. 3 retirements now from 3 different teams. 2 Chevys, 1 Honda. Ooh. Armstrong getting around his teammate, or his alliance teammate of Alex Palou there. Schwartzman having a very rough day. Rossi not having a great day, but with his teammate leading, you have to think that's exactly what the doctor ordered for that team. And Rasmussen has stretched the lead. It's now over 6 seconds on the straightaways. Sir Scott Dixon will come into the pits. Following David Malukas, we'll see Dixon fall to the rear of the field. It's actually, Rosenquist is kind of starting to gain time this lap. Schumacher has a 10-second penalty to serve as well. So that'll put Dixon in 20th, Schumacher in 21st. And that will make it around 1 minute, 56 seconds, very close to 1 minute from first to 21st. Now it is exactly a minute. And Rasmussen will pit from the lead with a 5-second gap over Felix Rosenquist. And Rosenquist will take the lead and look for his second victory. But not if Ferrucci has anything to say about it. With 1 lap newer tires. But Kirkwood always on the hunt and looking to advance himself in the championship. Then we look down the grid. Where's the championship leader of Scott McLaughlin? McLaughlin is running in 10th. Just behind Grosjean. And the next closest challenger is Jimmy Johnson. A couple 100 feet back. Pato Ward, Grosjean both pit. Rasmussen fell down to 4th. A very, very interesting race here with how the cautions fell, with how where cars spun and how the lead was stacked. It was daring pit strategy, so that always mixes things up. But because it took so long for a car to actually get taken out in that whole ordeal, the track was not called to a full field caution. So cars just repeatedly were piling in. But Ferrucci cutting the gap down to around a second to Felix Rosenquist. As Rosenquist came into the pits, Ferrucci will stay out. Rosenquist pits with 5-lap-old hards. Will Ferrucci pit this time by Rasmussen? It moves up in a second. Kirkwood out on 6-lap-old hards. Is Kirkwood trying to move them to the end of the race? He's just behind Rasmussen. Rasmussen on much fresher medium tires. Can he hold on? McLaughlin moves up into 6th. On 4-lap-old tires. David Malukas down in 10th. Sets the fastest lap. The drama is just getting started here. With 4 laps to go. Lingard, currently serving his penalty, will drop down to last. Palou started in the back row, has moved up into P17. But if you're a Pato Award or a Will Power, you want to make sure that number 3 car stays behind you. He's down in 6, Power's up into 4th. They are on Power's on a 1-lap older tire strategy. As there we see Santino Ferrucci stay out. He's on 6-lap old tires. Kirkwood comes to the pits this time by. That might mean that 6 laps is the charm, but Ferrucci may push him 2 laps longer. But will it be enough? He is down to less than 1.5 second gap, and his tires are looking very worn. That right front is especially chewed. Pato fighting to get back into the top 10. He gets past Jack Harvey. And trying to draft up on Marcus Armstrong to get into 10th. He will get it done. Pato Ward into 10th. And Christian Rasmussen less than a half second away from the lead of the race. In certain race victory from that point, Alex Blow down at P17 sets the fastest lap of the race. And now Rasmussen trying to make the move to get his first road course win, his first win of the season. And he gets it done around the outside. Rasmussen moves up into the lead. Ferrucci down in the second. Rosenquist in third. Power 4th. McLaughlin 5th. Renus VK in 6th. Battling with Alexander Rossi. And Rossi will make the move, take 6th, pumping VK down to 7th. Rasmussen now up to over a second lead over Ferrucci. So we have 2 to go. McLaughlin wisely stays out. I doubt we'll see anyone coming to pits here. So it appears to be home free for Rasmussen as he had made it a 2-second lead. Rosenquist is closing in on Ferrucci, slowly but surely. And Power won't have a huge advantage here over McLaughlin unless he's also able to get past another car and move on to the podium. So he'll still be gaining points, but not near enough to take that lead. And Collette has Pato in his sights. He's on 1 lap newer soft tires. I don't think it's possible, though. As Rasmussen rounds the final turn, as Rosenquist closes in on Ferrucci, Christian Rasmussen will take the white flag for ECR. 1 lap to go here in Qatar. His tires starting to get worn out, which means Rosenquist are just a little behind Ferrucci, appearing to be able to hang on unless he loses over 12 seconds this lap. He will hold on to the podium in Qatar. Rosenquist will try to take P2 from him, though. He'll make the dive bomb and get it done. Rosenquist to P2. Ooh. Pato Ward gets overtaken by Kyle Collette. He'll drop out of the points. He went into the weekend third. Second and first will make a huge leaps in points. Kyle Kirkwood sits the fastest sector one. He's down in P5. Rasmussen actually seeing the next Meyer-Shank car in his sights as he rounds the turn. He can see Marcus Armstrong, who was slow on the circuit, with blown tires. But that doesn't matter to Rasmussen. He will round the final turn as he sees the flag waving in the distance. Welcome back to Victory Lane, Christian Rasmussen. He'll be followed by Felix Rosenquist, Santino Ferrucci, almost hitting Armstrong there. Kyle Kirkwood, who got by Power or someone. Power will come through fifth and McLaughlin sixth. Kyle Kirkwood sets the fastest lap of the race. That gains him a bit of extra points. Rossi will come through seventh. Collette in eighth. VK in ninth after a disappointing race. And Malukas in... No! Pato in 10th at the line. He got him by around a 10th of a second. Malukas 11th. Ooh, yellow flag, sector 1. Who is that going around? So went around right as they crossed the line. But only one car finishes the lap down, being Marcus Armstrong. All right, but here is your podium for the Qatar Grand Prix. In third place, racing for AJ Foyt Racing, the American Santino Ferrucci. In second place, racing for Meyer-Shank Racing, the Swede Felix Rosenquist. And in first, racing for Ed Carpenter Racing ECR. In the what's it called? Man, I forget what that country's called. Denmark, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's embarrassing. Christian Rasmussen finishes first, and then Felix Rosenquist finished second. Ferrucci third. Very unique podium. Definitely first time that podium's ever happened. Can confirm. Kyle Kirkwood fourth. Wheel Power fifth. So Andretti cars sticking together again. Scott McLaughlin down in sixth. Alexander Rossi seventh. Kyle Collette eighth. Renus VK ninth. And Pato Ward in 10th. He gets David Malukas at the line for 10th. Malukas in 11th. Jimmy Johnson 12th. Ramon Grosjean 13th. Sir Scott Dixon 14th. Alex Palou 15th. Jack Harvey 16th. Graham Rahal 17th. Robert Schwartzman 18th. Christian Lundgaard 19th. Mick Schumacher 20th. That is the last car in the lead lap. Marcus Armstrong, who blew out all of his tires on the final lap, finished 21st one lap down. Dennis Hauger in 22nd. Callum Ilott in 23rd. And Stinger Robb in 24th, all retired from the event. And here's your point standings after the race. It is now a 19-point lead for Scott McLaughlin over Will Power. Then Pato Ward only gaining 1 point. Then Alex Palou 4th, Santino Ferrucci 5th, Kyle Kirkwood 6th, Rosenquist 7th, Malukas 8th, Harvey 9th, and Dixon 10th. Now Rasmussen passing VK for 11th. So we go and look. Brand new race winner on the season. Only his third finish in the points the whole year. It's really carrying his points total. I mean, you could say the same about VK. We had an 8th, then a fourth, a third, then an eighth. But still, very impressive from Rasmussen. And he'll be our seventh different race winner in 10 races. McLaughlin repeating twice, and Power repeating 3 times. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and return. And next week we will be returning to Indianapolis, quote unquote, for the United Kingdom Grand Prix or the Indy Grand Prix. Thank you all. Hope you have a good one and goodbye.